The concept of using light as a weapon has intrigued weapon designers for centuries. The first such system hypothesized was the Archimedes heat ray. According to legend, he had used a series of mirrors to focus sunlight on ships of the Roman fleet as they invaded Syracuse, setting them on fire. During World War II, various stories of engine-stopping rays had been reported, including Nazi-supported studies into a directed X-ray beam weapon. Researched by the German electrical engineering company Siemens Schuckert, the concept hoped to disable piston engines by ionizing their combustion chambers through a directed bombardment of X-rays. Fast forward 2 decades, and it would not be until 1960 for the light weapon to reach the realm of feasibility, when Theodore H. Maiman operated the first functioning laser at Hughes Research Laboratories in Malibu, California.
Lockheed Martin produces systems that do everything from detect the threats to identify the threats, determine whether it's a threat to the aircraft, and then employs the appropriate weapon, in this case, a laser weapon system.
What we're hearing from our customers is that they need a layered, multi-domain defensive approach that can be integrated across platforms to neutralize these threats across all those domains. Imagine an aircraft equipped with a laser system with the capability to be able to neutralize a threat at the speed of a lightning strike, the precision of a surgical scalpel, with the magazine to deal with a swarm, and with the scalable effect to be able to address that threat, providing an effect all the way the one end from simply deterring it for a short period of time, all the way up to completely neutralizing and defeating that threat.
We were able to integrate our laser weapon system, Athena, into the classified C2 network and receive cues from the radar on the range in order to execute the full kill chain.
The Helios laser weapon system builds on 40 years of combat system engineering and radar excellence. That is a fundamental change for laser weapon systems, which here to date have been prototypes added to a ship. Helios will be integrated into the ship.
So what's exciting about this technology is that it's scalable. It's lived in the laboratory for many years, but has finally reached the power levels and the effectiveness to allow it to be used on the battlefield. As an example, today's laser weapon systems can be used to defeat rockets, artillery, mortars, and even small UAVs. And as that technology and capability scales, the effectiveness scales with it. We'll be to the point here shortly where we'll be able to defend aircraft against incoming missiles and even reach out over long distances and destroy ballistic missile threats.
Laser weapon systems are earning their way onto the battlefield. Lockheed Martin advancements in the fundamental subsystems, be it beam control, high energy laser, beam direction, power and thermal, is bringing a system-of-system approach to our customers' most challenging problem. Lockheed Martin can bring that end-to-end capability into the theater for the life of our platforms and help defend the brave women and men who boldly go in harm's way to defend our freedoms.
So the recent California fires are very strange and suspect, to say the least. We have specific areas being burned, like energy was being directed at certain things. In drone footage of the aftermath, we see houses completely obliterated and turned to ash while the surrounding landscapes and trees are totally fine. Here is a clip courtesy of Serbian Conspiracy. I'll put a link in the description. You'll notice here that stores and restaurants are wiped out while other things are still in perfect shape. Other buildings are fine, trees are untouched, but specific structures are just devastated. You gotta ask yourself, what's up with that? How did the fires get to these certain buildings, but the surrounding areas, including the parking lot, look normal? Is this the result of direct energy weapons? Ranged weapons that inflict damage on a target by emitting highly focused energy? The answer is most likely yes. But most people believe that these kinds of weapons are just science fiction, due to movies like Austin Powers, for instance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin phase 2 of our evil project. Or is it phase 3? I don't know phases. Anyways, this is the phase in which we put a giant laser on the moon. As you know, the moon rotates around the Earth like so. When the moon reaches its appropriate lunar alignment, it will destroy Washington, D.C. Anyways, the key to this plan is the giant laser.
But in reality, these direct energy weapons are admitted to be real and are documented.
Scientists have been working on this top-secret project since 1974. This laser is capable of unleashing the power of the sun. Enough energy to light up every home in the U.S. or wipe out mankind.
What we can do is focus this very high energy into a very small spot for a very short time. And when that happens, we get the conditions that are very much like inside our sun.
So you hear that? Now let's watch a clip from YouTube channel In Truth by Grace. Link will be in the description, of course.
This is not a carbon fire. This is the only fire in the whole wide world that's considered a forest fire where the forest did not burn. The forest didn't burn here. All the glass melted. All the structural materials that used to be a house have disappeared. They have disappeared. You have a couple of bent poles here, a couple of poles that are bent, but you have absolutely no materials. The houses have not fallen. The houses have disappeared. The materials of these contents of these houses are gone. Let's listen to what they have to say here. She's going to talk a little bit about it. Well, first, let's go here. I want to show you where these fires are. Because if you're like me, you didn't know that there were 14 separate fires. How did 14 separate fires start over such a wide area? You guys, this isn't normal. This is not how it works. These homes didn't fall. These homes didn't burn. These homes disappeared. There's nothing left. There's not even a toilet bowl or a bathtub. This is one of the cars or trucks or something that was in this fire, and you'll notice that the glass here, which has a melting point of between 2,600 and 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? We're talking forge, foundry, furnace temperatures to melt this glass. Glass does not melt on its own, guys. Open air fires do not create this kind of complete combustion of the materials, all right?
How did they create a laser with such devastating force? By assembling an array of 192 lasers and aiming them at a single hydrogen pellet the size of a BB. These 192 lasers are linked together by a twisting jungle of tubes that snake through this mammoth 10-story structure, which is the length of 3 football fields. The plan is to fire all 192 laser beams at once. Each beam starts out low-powered, about the size of what's inside your DVD player. But as they pass through the complex maze of tubes, they merge into one super beam. This super beam fires 500 terawatts of power in 2 billionths of a second, roughly 500 times the entire peak power output of the United States. When that light strikes the hydrogen pellet, it cooks it to over 800 million degrees.
The fact is, we are dealing with microwave weapon technology. How else would this tree catch on fire from the inside?
A haunting but mesmerizing scene from the wildfires in Sonoma County. A man came across this tree burning from the inside out. Matthew McDermott was driving around looking for escape routes as multiple fires closed in on the area he was in. The tree appears to be hollowed out by embers and flames.
Right? You could look this up. This is all over the news. Tree on fire from the inside. The only time that happens is when trees are struck by lightning, which in itself is a direct energy, right? This whole thing is all messed up.
Okay, what the hell is going on in California? Okay, so far California has set a record. 2 million acres have been burned this year alone. Apparently that's the size of 10 New York cities. But before I go over this news right here, let's just read a little bit of this. At least 22 major wildfires are burning across California right now. They say dry air and record-setting high temperatures are exacerbating the flames in many areas. On Tuesday, authorities said over 200 people have been airlifted out from areas affected by the Creek Fire. 22 major wildfires are burning across California. I just want to refresh our memory before I play this video right here that there is such a thing as weather modification. This right here is NOAA.gov. This is from the government. They admit, they show you on their websites that they do control the weather. This right here is called Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025 by the United States Air Force. You can see the different topics that they're talking about, the Global Weather Network. What do we mean by weather modification and controlling the weather and owning the weather? So in the context of people who claim to have the capability of weather modification and the desire, at least the desire of owning the weather by 2025, guys, that's just in 4.5 years, less than 4.5 years. I want to play this video real quick, and then we're going to get into something because I want to make an observation that anybody can make. This comes from CNN. CBS has covered it. NBC, ABC, Fox News, all the major networks have covered this. And keep in mind, they have billion-dollar budgets to do research, to ferret out information, to get to the bottom of the facts, to find out how exactly these fires are starting and what's keeping them going.
The state's record for acres burned by wildfires in a single year, and it's only September. More than 2 million acres have burned in 2020. That's the size of more than 10 New York cities.
Guys, just think about the enormity of that. 2 million acres have burned in 2020 alone.
And firefighters are getting no break from record-setting heat. Temperatures reached 121 degrees in LA County on Sunday, the highest ever recorded.
So we're breaking records. We're breaking heat records. We're breaking fire records in 2020.
CNN has now confirmed a 41-year-old woman died this weekend while hiking in the extreme heat.
The blistering heat has fueled the Creek Fire, which is tearing through the Sierra National Forest in California's Central Valley. A sheriff described
the blistering heat. If you have the power to modify weather, wouldn't you bring some thunderstorms in the area to try to take care of that? Do you remember what they did in Vietnam? Guys, Vietnam, this is back in the 60s and 70s. They were modifying the weather to extend the monsoon season, to bring more rain, to give our troops the advantage. They were doing that back in the 60s and 70s, guys. What kind of technology do they have right now? What kind of technology could they deploy to help alleviate the horrific scenario that's playing out for us in California? 22 major wildfires.
Conditions as hellish. At least 224 people were rescued by air. Others made a frightening escape on their own.
This is scary, guys.
Just keep going.
God. Oh.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
You're talking about when you're going through something like that, you're concerned about your tires melting off and you not being able to go anywhere, being burned alive inside your car, even while the air conditioning is going full blast, trying to hide behind the doors. People have been burned alive in their cars trying to escape.
That the Creek Fire has already burned more than 45,000 acres. States of emergency are in effect in 5 counties now. CNN's Paul Verkeerman is on the ground in California.
People are being driven from their land, guys. People who have been there for decades and decades are being driven from their property because of the fire damage. Maybe they'll stay around the first time and rebuild that house that was completely incinerated, completely burnt to the ground. Second time, probably can't even afford the insurance payments on it.
Laura, Allison, a brutal, horrifying, fire-ravaged weekend throughout California. Let's start by talking about the fire that caused these evacuations from a campground northeast of Fresno. When it came touring through the Mammoth Reservoir campground, people were ringed by fire. It was such a scary...
Guys, just thinking about driving through that with your family, trying to get them to safety. Am I going to burn to death? Or am I going to be, is the smoke inhalation going to get to me? Or are my tires going to burn off? Or we're just going to sit there and fry in our cars like it's an oven?
Moment, they had no way to get out, many of them. A bridge had burned down that they had to be airlifted out to safety. And we know that some of those people were treated for burns and broken bones. We also know that this fire...
They were bringing some Chinook helicopters in the military.
Campers hoping for a relaxed...
These people right here were stuck on the beach as fires just engulfed all around them. They're trying to stay down by the water because they didn't want to get burned. They got stranded there, right there on the beach, surrounded by just an inferno. Infernos everywhere.
Labor Day weekend found themselves suddenly trapped by flames. The so-called creek fire exploded, jumping a river and cutting off the only road out of the Mammoth Pool Reservoir in the Sierra National Forest.
According to a lot of testimonies, people are like, hey man, I've lived here for 50 years. I've never seen anything like this. Guys, we've had adverse weather before. We've had dry seasons where there's not a lot of rain. Things are getting super dry. But people are saying we have never, ever in our lives heard or seen anything like this. You're going to hear a couple, I think, testimony from one guy right here.
Dennis Drake was with his family.
It was the fastest growing fire I had ever even heard of, let alone seen.
And that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of the old timers there that have been there for a long time, they're like, man, we've never seen anything like this. That the fire came up so fast and it engulfed so much area, we couldn't even believe it. We didn't even have time to prepare.
It was amazing.
He says he and about 150 people spent over an hour in the reservoir to escape the fire.
It's the size of golf balls. Winds going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. And
just exacerbated by strong winds. So you get these massive, 3 or 4 or 5 story high flames, this huge inferno all around you. And then the wind starts picking up 45, 55 miles per hour.
Just keep going under and under and under. And it's like, in my mind, I'm going, okay, are we going to die from the fire or are we going to die from drowning?
Drake captured this video of a military helicopter landing in the middle of the inferno.
So the Chinooks came down and airlifted them to safety.
California
fire.
Let's finish this out
called
right
the Creek Fire caused so much havoc in the area that nearby campgrounds and lakes had to be evacuated. In fact, at one point on this lake called Bass Lake, visibility dropped so low that officials told boaters to drop their miles per hour, their top speed, to 5 miles per hour. It looked like nighttime in midday. Others were able to drive away from some of these horrific fires, and they told tales of just absolutely raging infernos on both sides of them.
A hike with just some hazy air that became, soon ash rain. We were wearing masks, but it was getting, harder to breathe, harder to see. I think if we had stayed just 10 minutes more, we might not have been so lucky.
And many of these fires in California.
That's what people are saying. Yeah, we were out there and, it was hazy and the fire was way in the distance. And all of a sudden, the fire's right upon us. A lot of people are saying that.
California sending up huge pyrocumulus or fire clouds 8-9 miles into the air. And a factor in all of this, the heat. Oppressive. A record set in Los Angeles County for the highest temperature ever. It's just difficult for firefighters to get at all of these blazes. Fire officials expressing concerns with hot.
So with all this going on right here, guys, with these raging fires, we have record heat, we have record fires, 2 million acres in 2020 alone, the size of 10 New York cities. And we know they have the technology to bring rain. They do it all the time in other locations. Why aren't they doing it right now? And then you have this. So you've got CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, all with $1 million budgets, and they can find out what caused the fire. They can launch investigators to find out what is going on. But who ends up uncovering let's just call it an anomaly, okay? Who uncovers the anomaly that people really need to question? I'm going to give a shout out to 2 YouTubers, Dutch Sense and Logic Before Authority. They have really been on this. They've been covering it like nobody's business. Watch what Dutch Sense caught on radar. There's no sound to this, so let's check this out. You're going to see a red beam streak across where the fire is. See that beam right there? You're going to see it even more clear in a second. This is about a 45-second video. Look at that beam. See that beam right there? What is that? What is that? It's going right down to that fire. And there's another view of it. I think it's right. Yeah, right here. We're going to catch another beam in another video. My question is not just what is that? Where did it come from? Who did it? Why isn't mainstream media covering this? These fires are huge, guys. Massive, 22 major fires going on in California right now. And nobody's asking. Nobody in mainstream media, I've not heard anybody say, okay, what is this? We got to investigate. Where's the place of origin for this strange looking beam that weather radar, radar picked up on? Look at that. Look at that beam. What is that? What is that? Who did it? Where does it come from? Did that have anything to do with the fires? What is that beam? Here's another angle from it. This is night 2 from today, from just early this morning. Let's look back here. I'm going to back it up here. Obviously, it's going from day to night, so nighttime descends. Here we go. Look at the fires raging. As this pulses over here, see that beam it's starting to reveal? Little beam right there. Look at that, right there. You had this one right here. See this little this body of water right here? This one is to the east of that, and this beam is to the west of that. This is that same body of water right there. There's a beam right there on the east side. There's a beam right there on the west side. What is that? What is that? Now there's 2 beams, 2 parallel beams side by side. Let me back it up a little bit. Okay, there's the beam on the west side. There's the beam on the east side of that body of water. That's Dutch Sense YouTube channel. Why isn't Fox News questioning this? Why aren't we seeing this reported on CNN? Why does it have to be a YouTuber that brings this out? This technology is available to everybody, including newsrooms with billion-dollar budgets. And also Logic Before Authority picked up on a little bit of this. I don't know if he talked about it, the energy weapon, but he did talk about the wind direction and how the fires are moving swiftly and where they are, where the danger zones are, where people need to get out of. And these guys get censored, guys. They're operating on shoestring budgets with their laptops on their kitchen tables. And we don't see any of this reported on mainstream media. What started these fires? It says dry air and record-setting high temperatures are exacerbating the flames in many areas. Is that all? Is that all that's exacerbating the flames in those areas? Could this be exacerbating it? I don't know. I don't know what this beam is. I'm not arriving at any conclusion. I'm not making any assertions. I'm just saying, what is this? And why does this stop where that fire starts right there? Or maybe it's starting where the fire is starting. Nevertheless, it is where a fire is. This beam right here is going in between two major fires right here and flanking one to the east. What are those? Where do they come from? Who did it? Those are questions that I have. If you guys have the answers, leave your answers in the comment section below. Please share this with everybody you know. I will leave Dutch Sense and Logic Before Authorities links in the description below and in the pinned comment. If you visit them, let them know that High Impact TV sent you. We have a lot of questions, and we really want answers. 22 fires burning right now. 10 million acres burned in 2020 alone. We need some serious answers.
The world is alive.